Most industrial towns, when their reason for being is revoked, become museums. They paint murals on the blast furnaces. They sell tickets to tour the ruins. Qijiang did none of that. When the mandate came, clean up or shut down. It looked next door to Chongqing instead. Understood what the giant actually imported. Used its old bones to make those things itself. The ore stopped leaving. The margin stopped with it. Welcome to China in 5, where we decode who China is through its designated cities. Last week, we looked at Kashgar, a desert outpost at the edge of China that spent centuries being the place people passed through on their way to somewhere else. For most of its history, its only job was to wait. Let caravans rest. Let empires rise and fall beyond the passes. Let the world move elsewhere while it stayed exactly where it had always been. Then the cord turned west. The state built the road through it, not just to it. The highway, the railway, the bonded zone. They rebuilt Old City. And today, every truck bound for Pakistan, Central Asia, and the Middle East must cross what was once a dead end. The city that owned nothing but the path now owns the path itself. This week we're in City 37, Qijiang. And here the question is different. What happens when a Rust Belt town stops shipping its bones and starts capturing what they become? To answer that, we need to understand what Qijiang actually is, not what it used to be. What it became. Here are the 10 things that define Qijiang. 1. Origin. Qijiang was built for one purpose. In the 1950s, the state placed coal mines and steel furnaces here to feed Chongqing's rise. The ore came out, the steel was smelted. Then everything moved up the line. It was never meant to be a destination. It was built to supply one. 2. Geographic reality. 30 kilometers from Chongqing. Close enough to connect, far enough to disappear. The rail lines run through it. The highways link it in. But proximity alone doesn't create importance. For decades, Qijiang was near the center without ever becoming part of it. 3. Historical inflection point. Then the mandate came: reduce emissions, phase out high-polluting industries, or shut down. The furnaces that defined Qijiang were no longer assets. They were liabilities. The old model didn't weaken. It became illegal. 4. Foundational industry. Coal, steel, primary smelting. For decades, that was the entire system. Dig, burn, ship. The value left with every train. What remained was the residue. 5. Structural threat. This is where most industrial towns end. The mines close, the furnaces cool, the workers leave. What's left becomes memory. Murals on factory walls. Tours through abandoned plants. Qijiang saw that future and refused it. 6. The governing move. Instead of asking what to replace the old industry with, Qijiang asked a different question. What does Chongqing still need? Not raw ore, not commodity steel. Aluminum alloys, specialty steels, precision materials. Things it was still importing. The pivot wasn't invention, it was attention. 7. Power architecture. The state set the direction. The district built the platform. Industrial parks, policy support, coordination. But the shift itself wasn't executed by the state. It was executed by metallurgists who retooled, plant managers who retrained, and firms that learned to produce something more specific. The system didn't replace its people.
It redirected them.
8. Signature asset. Qijiang's advantage is not what it produces. It's where it sits. Close enough to know what Chongqing needs. Close enough to deliver within hours. Proximity as intelligence. Not just logistics. The kind of advantage that can't be replicated at a distance. 9. Timing factor. 3 forces arrived at once. The ecological mandate forced change. Chongqing's industry matured and demanded better inputs. China's supply chains began moving inland. Pressure, demand, opportunity. Qijiang didn't create the window, but it moved when the window opened.
10. Why Qijiang matters to China.
From Beijing, most industrial peripheries are replaceable. They dig, they smelt, they ship. When the mines close or the mandate comes, they decline. The pattern is so consistent it barely registers as a problem. Qijiang broke the pattern. It kept its furnaces hot, kept its metallurgists employed, kept its rail lines running. But it changed what moved on them. From raw ore to advanced alloys, from commodity steel to specialty materials. From things anyone could supply to things the giant next door specifically needed. That matters because China has hundreds of Qijiangs, places built to extract and ship, now facing obsolescence. If every one of them followed the usual path, decline, depopulation, museumification, the cumulative loss would be staggering. Qijiang showed that obsolescence is not destiny, that the industrial DNA can be redirected, that the periphery does not have to become a museum. It matters for another reason too. Every ecological mandate imposed on an industrial periphery carries a risk that the region will simply decline, becoming a liability rather than an asset. Qijiang shows that the mandate can do the opposite, that it can force the upgrade that proximity makes possible and sovereignty makes necessary. The periphery that learned to capture is a periphery that does not need to be carried. It carries itself. If you want the full structural breakdown, how the pivot happened, who moved with it, where the pressure points are, the deep dive decodes the architecture behind this transformation. The companion essay zooms out why Qijiang matters to China, how it connects to other cities we've covered, and what it teaches about not dying. Both are linked below. Next week we look at Putian. Most cities have a story they tell about themselves. Putian has two. The first is the story everyone knows. Putian's shoe factories. It is the story the city publishes, the one that appears in industrial surveys and economic reports. It is true, as far as it goes. The second story is the one the Putian does not tell. It is about a network of families, connected by kinship and a shared origin in a single township, who came to own an estimated 80% of China's private hospitals, cosmetic surgery in Beijing, dental implants in Shanghai, fertility clinics across the country. The operations are everywhere. The ownership is in Putian. The profits flow home. The shoes are what they show you. The health network is what they own. This is the diaspora trust principle. Some cities ship value, some cities keep it. 707 cities, one structural map. This is China in 5.